How's going guys, welcome to the channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto Rebirth as Omnipotence? Part 1. Huge shout out to MickeyMooseCaramel for this story. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. The tale of Naruto Uzumaki, yes, that has a nice ring to it. Jiraiya. One may often wonder how one achieves the position of godhood. What had one done to achieve the exalted position and how much of their life was changed? This was the story about the so-called biblical god. How he came to be and how his deeds changed much of the world that once was. It was during a terrible war where our story began. Madara Uchiha, a mad megalomaniac, had planned to hypnotize the whole world via the power of the tailed beasts and the reflection of the moon. What the crazy long black-haired man had not expected was for Naruto's left eye to suddenly turn light purple with its associated ripple patterns, removing all traces of his original azure blue as Kurama, the Ninetales, was pulled out of him. Tenin. Metsu was the first thing Naruto uttered after the appearance of the Rinnegan in his left eye. The force of attraction radiated from his hand was targeted at the chained nine-tailed beasts. The forces of attraction wrestled against the chakra chains binding the nine-tailed beasts, causing the 9 creatures to let out a screech of pain as their bodies experienced an impromptu tug-o-war. Naruto's will eventually won out as the chains shattered, whilst the 9 beasts was pulled into Naruto's seal, leaving Naruto panting with a large influx of chakra. Obito. Madara shouted, realizing that Obito had used Kamui to transfer his left Rinnegan to Naruto before Zetsu had taken over his body. Insolent brat. The madman further shrieked as his required left eye and chakra source for fueling his large-scale hypnotism was taken by Naruto. In a rush of rage, he dashed at the still panting Naruto, his hands going for the kill. He smiled as he felt the stream of red liquid flowing through his hand, however his smile quickly faded as he realized that the blood flowing through his hand did not belong to Naruto. Naruto watched wide-eyed as Madara's hand thrusted through Sasuke's chest after the black-haired boy shoved the blonde out of harm's way before Madara made contact. Sasuke. Naruto whimpered, feeling the wetness gathering in his eyes. Why? The blonde asked, seeing the deja vu reenactment of what had happened on the wave mission when Sasuke took Haku's needles for him. Why, you're my best friend. I finally realized how wrong I've been and how right you always were. Sorry for everything. The black-haired boy gasped as blood made its way out of his mouth. Get him, Naruto. Sasuke smiled as he uttered his final words before his eyes lost its light. Sasuke. Naruto shouted as he futilely ordered his body to move towards the raven-haired boy, not noticing the shadow of Black Zetsu that appeared near him. The end seemed near as the abyssal black hand made its way closer and closer to the blonde's chest. Yet again, he was saved as a flash of pink pushed his static body out of harm's way, taking the fatal damage instead. Sakura. Naruto screamed as Black Zetsu's hand slowly drained away Sakura's life. Thank you for everything, Naruto. The pink-haired girl gave Naruto a soft smile as blood slowly seeped out her lips. Get him and live on. She finished as her body became limp and was thrown away by Black Zetsu as he pulled his hand out of her chest. Sakura. Naruto howled as the knife-cold pain tear through his heart. Tears flowed down his bereaved face. Sadness was replaced by anger and hatred towards the man who caused the loss of his loved ones. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. The blonde screamed as his body was finally movable. Kurama. He mentally shouted as the 9-tailed fox nodded. The two coalesced the tailed beast bomb that was shot at Madara, generating a earth-quaking force which smoke splurged out. Yet when the smoke cleared, Madara stood there with a Shinju, 10 tails, husk next to him, unharmed. Kill me you say. Madara muttered. As long as I have this husk, all the chakra you used on me shall be rendered useless. You seem to think that I am out of option, but look around you. What do you see? Chakra. The largest gathering of chakra in a single place since the existence of the sage. You cannot stop me. Madara spoke as he weaved various hand seals. Black Zetsu, who stood next to Madara, suddenly slumped down. Naruto's eyes widened as he realized what Madara was thinking. He quickly spread his chakra to all the shinobis around to form a protective layer of chakra over their bodies. Your efforts are futile. The long-haired Uchiha stated blandly. It sadly seemed true as even with the chakra of the 9 beasts, he could feel his strength being sapped away at a rapid rate. His distress was channeled through the mental link, which was felt most clearly by Tsunade. Naruto the medic spoke through the mental link. Jiraiya once said that the true measure of a shinobi is not how he lives, but how he dies. I've always thought that the old pervert was overtly senile and naive until I found you. I've lost much through this system, and I couldn't bear the thought of losing you. Especially knowing that I would be at fault for preventing you and defeating that Uchiha bastard. Forgive this old granny who came to view you as a son she never have, and for being unable to stand being a burden to you. Even if you can't save me, save this world alright. She ended her speech as she sent her life energy through the link towards Naruto. Her body, without chakra, began to dissipate as ashes, floating away with the winds. "Ba-chan!" Naruto cried, his heart throbbed in pain as he lost another one of his precious people. "Naruto-kun, I used to always cry and give up. I made many wrong turns, but you helped me find the right path. I always chased after you. I wanted to catch up to you. I wanted to walk beside you all the time. I just wanted to be with you. You changed me. Your smile is what saved me. That is why I am not afraid to die protecting you. Because I love you, Naruto-kun." But that her energy was transferred to Naruto as her body disintegrates similarly to Tsunade. "Hinata." Naruto wailed as tears streamed down his eyes. "I think of you as a friend. I used to think friend was just another word, nothing more, nothing less. But when I met you, I realized what was important was the word's meaning. You were the one who taught me to deepen my bond with my people. Thanks to you, I was able to regain my true self. Naruto Uzumaki, knowing you, you will overcome this disaster and grow even stronger from it." Gaara uttered, his body fragmented into sands that he was always associated with. "Gaara. Naruto, I may not have been the best father one could have, but you surely are the most amazing son any father could want. I'm really proud of you. Live on, son." Minato ushered as the chakra from his reincarnated body was given to Naruto, along with Kurama's Yang chakra. "Dad. This is getting troublesome with everyone speaking too much. It's quite clear that everyone here wouldn't want to become fuel for that hypnotizing jutsu. Let's get this done so I could have my sleep." Shikamaru yawned, looking lazy even at the end as his body slowly shattered. "Shikamaru. Stop. Enough. Everyone stop." Naruto helplessly cried as life force after life force came rushing into him till all that remained on the battlefield was Naruto, Madara and the body of the Shinju. His legs lost its strength as he saw the field of dust on the deserted plain. "Futile." The madman muttered. "They are not the only source of chakra for me. If I could not cast the world into eternal slumber, then I shall erase everything off it." He continued to weave more hand seals, whilst Naruto only stared in shock as he felt the life forces of innocent creatures being drained towards by Madara. "Sensei always said the forgiveness is the key to peace, but you're someone who I could never forgive." The blonde roared, though the Uchiha merely smirked. "And what are you going to do about it, boy?" "Naruto." Kurama cried from inside the seal. "Kurama. The other tailed beasts and I have finally thought of a way to defeat that wretched man. All you have to do is go into your sage-tailed beast mode and combine all our chakra with the chakra you received before using Banshim Metsu to pull in flask of the Shinju." The Beto had already destroyed the Shinju's consciousness, so by pulling in the flash and combining it with our chakra, you'll surpass the old man or even the Shinju itself. But that would kill all of you. I can't lose anyone anymore. Naruto. We've already decided. If you really want to do something for us, then do what you've always done, prove it to us with your actions. That's who you are. Kurama. Naruto nodded as he strengthened his resolve. A cross sign was formed on both his azure and purple eyes as he once again uttered. Banshim Metsu. The force of attraction between both sides was felt through the land that significantly slumped as Naruto fought Madara over the control of the Shinju's husk. "You cannot defeat me. I have the chakra of the world." Madara screamed as he pushed more of his power towards the Shinju, maintaining it in his grasp. "The chakra you have are all from the unwilling. Someone like you should just disappear." The sudden surge of power allowed Naruto to successfully pull the husk of the Shinju, which immediately merged with his body. Blinding light accumulated around Naruto's body that even the Uchiha had shut his eyes to stop the blindness. As the light died down, there floated Naruto. Yet instead of horns that grew off Obito's body, there were wings. 10 pairs of shining wings, 2 on his head, 6 on his body and a pair each on his feet. 10 shining orbs of light surrounded his back whilst a halo shone upon his head. "What are you?" the lunatic man uttered, shocked by Naruto's change of appearance as well as ever-increasing power. "Your death," was the answer Naruto gave before he shot a beam of light at the Uchiha, obliterating his left arm. "Just because you grew wings do not mean that I would be defeated." The madman howled as he charged straight at Naruto, forming a set of hand seals. "Rinbo. Hengoku," the Uchiha shouted and could only stare in amazement as Naruto's body was unaffected, the strong amount pressure generated from the jutsu. "You are unsuitable to wield the eye that could generate life," Naruto murmured as he targeted a force of attraction at Madara's eye, pulling it out of the sockets before coming into his hand. "I shall erase everything about you, Madara." He spoke as the grasped out Madara's other Rinnegan in his left eye before shattering the 2 eyeballs with his orbs of light. Instead of leaving a hollow socket, an azure orb was formed before a ripple pattern emerged over both of Naruto's azure orbs via the Shinju's power. Madara shrieked in agony seeing his livelong creation shattered but was seemingly ignored by Naruto. Light gathered in his arms as he formed a cell DNA-shaped swirling blade. A divine blade of the Sage of Six Paths, Nunaboku. With this blade the sage created the world, and with this very blade, I shall destroy the one who seek to destroy it. The blonde shouted as the blade of light was thrown straight at Madara Uchiha, obliterating all traces of the said man from the plane of existence. A large thump resonated across the deserted plain as Naruto's body slumped down. Pools of tears dripped from his eyes as he tightly clenched his fist, whilst a horrid reality slowly sunk in. The absorbed powers of all the tailed beasts greatly enhanced his empathetic senses, yet he could not feel a single tingle of life around him. The world truly seemed to be dead. Naruto sobbed exhaustively, longing for a miracle of some sort to reverse all that had happened. He wished it was a dream, but it wasn't. No miracle intervened to invert the tragedy that had happened. The cold weather was closing in on him. He felt the chills along his veins, yet he was too weak to move, too tired and too grief-stricken to care. When people are protecting something truly special to them, they truly can become as strong as they can be. Was what Haku had once told him, and he had always abided by it. His life became dedicated to protecting his friends, the people who made his life worthwhile. Yet now, all of them were dead. It then occurred to him that he might as well die here. "Everyone, I'm sorry." Naruto whispered those words as he silently took out a kunai from his pocket. Caught in a grief too deep for tears, he knelt down on the icy terrain and braced the hilt of the dagger between his knees, clasping his hands with the dagger between his wrist, resting them on either side of the blade's edge. Yet as he pulled both wrists up along the knife edge, the vision of his friends flashed before him. They were chiding and smiling at him, as if they were telling him to abandon his thoughts and live on. Live on. It was Sakura's final words for him. Could he simply throw away his life like this? The blonde thought. If he died, nothing would be left of the shinobi civilization. Even if he were alone, his life would serve as a remembrance of the shinobi civilization. He would live on, and he would live on, and he would live on without regrets. The following month, Naruto journeyed all across the realm. He found the world to be much larger than he had anticipated. Along his journeys, he took the chance to learn and mastered all the shinobi arts had to offer. It may seem impossible at first glance, yet with the help of the shadow clones and his ascended Rinnegan, it became an easy task. His journey, however, was devoid of any traces of life. It seemed that Madara had truly drained all life on Earth. It was impossible for him to use Marin Tensei, as the jutsu from Madara had turned everything to dust. Naruto continued to wonder why he continued to live when every one of his precious people had now disappeared, yet images of his friends telling him to live prevented him from going through with the thought of suicide. Though truthfully speaking, he did not know if he could die anymore. He laughed whilst he thought of his suicide attempt last month. Slicing himself to death became a no method when one simply regenerate within seconds. He sat down on the lifeless land, wondering what he should be doing. After all, he finally finished collecting the teachings of the shinobi nations. When people get hurt, they learn to hate. When people hurt others, they become hated and racked with guilt. Even I can tell that hatred is spreading. But knowing that pain allows people to be kind. Pain allows people to grow, and how you grow is up to you. I believe that someday the day will come when people truly understand one another. If I can't find the answer to how, it will be up to you to do it. The teachings of his sensei came to his mind. Up to me, he thought. His sensei had always been on a personal quest to find true peace. Peace where all beings understood one another. A derelict state of nothingness clearly could not be the peace Hiro Sennin had wanted, Naruto thought, as he gathered the light containing both yin and yang chakra onto his hand. He had thought about recreating all of his precious person, but he knew that those creations would not be what he had lost, and doing so would disregard their sacrifice to at least save the planet. Focusing his power within his hand, he spoke. Nanbutsu SMZM. A blast of light erupted in front of him, and as it died down, there stood a handsome-looking man with long blonde hair and green eyes. Above his head was a halo of light, and behind him were 6 magnificent golden wings. He looked at Naruto questioningly, whilst the short-haired blonde merely grinned after he finally saw another life form after a month of nothingness. From now on you shall be known as Michael. Let us ascend the skies where we may find peace in heaven. Time is not absolute, it is relative. Albert Einstein. Daddy, where are we going? Was the question that came from the 12-winged being known as Michael. I have no idea, and for the last time, Michael, stop calling me daddy. Deadpan Naruto. Even though Naruto had said that they were going to ascend heaven, find peace and do other stuff, he really had no idea where heaven really is. Hell, even the name Michael popped out of nowhere. But seriously, you've got to give the man a break. Anyone would have loved to play the creator once in his or her lifetime, especially when you really had just created something out of nothing. He initially thought that if he flew up high enough in the sky, there would have been a floating mass of tangible clouds, waiting for him to populate it with animals that one day might return to Earth's surface when it becomes livable. Sadly, that was not the case. In the sky there were clouds, and above those clouds were more clouds, and above that. Was when he realized that he really had transcended the limits of humans. This came from the fact that there was no breathable air for him to breathe after he flew over layers after layers of clouds, that there was no layer of clouds left to fly over. It was an uncomfortable feeling to not be able to breathe yet still able to live. Flying high enough to the point he found the world to be a continuously rotating sphere gave the short-haired blonde a severe depression. There was no land above the clouds after all. That revelation simply messed up his original plan of recreating humans and other animals. Another problem was the fact that he could not create the average human either. The second time he tried creating a human, his creation once again turned out to be somewhat like him and Michael, a being with wings. Though instead of having blonde hair and gold wings, his new creation supported black hair and white wings instead. Naruto sighed in resignation after finding all the dead ends to his plan. His depression was so severe that he did not notice a black spherical hole appearing before him until Michael and his second creation pulled him to a stop. "What the heck is that?" Naruto questioned, mostly to himself as he saw the seemingly void sphere. What he did not further expect was for a gray-eyed, black-haired girl with pointed ears, supporting a black gothic Lolita dress, to step out from the void and emotionlessly said, "Are you infinite?" "What? Are you infinite? What do you mean by infinite? Are you infinite?" I suppose, Kurama did once say that the Shinju's power were immeasurable. Now I have that in the life forces of the strongest people of my age. The small girl nodded, seemingly satisfied by Naruto's answer before she turned towards his second creation and said, "Samuel." "Samuel?" Naruto voiced. "Is he not Samuel?" The little girl once again spoke. "I don't know. He was just created. Then he shall be Samuel. Can I ask why?" "I saw it. I see the past, present and glimpse of future for those in my race, and he will soon be a part of it." "Oh okay." Naruto deadpanned, but mentally relented with the name Samuel, he didn't have a better alternative anyway. "Who are you anyway?" The short-haired blonde finally spoke out his sentiments, which arise when the black-haired girl walked out of the void sphere. "I am Office. If you don't mind me asking, why aren't you not dead?" "I am infinite and I'm not from here." The girl emotionlessly replied as she pointed at the circular blob of void she came from. "Oh, so you're not from this spherical earth?" The Lolita-like girl shook her head at Naruto's question. The blonde's eye widened, but he continued. "Then why are you here?" "You? What?" "I sense the disruption in this dimension from your power. I had thought that only Great Red and I possesses this power, but apparently you do too." I suppose I got a lot stronger, but even with all this power I couldn't achieve me goal." Naruto spoke as he comically slumped. "And what might that be?" The girl beat her head as she inquired. "Finding peace." "Is this not peace? If you get rid of those two then you will have the peace of calmness and silence." Office mouthed as she pointed at Michael and Samuel who quickly backed away to Naruto. "Actually I was the only thing living here before I created those two." Office seemed unsurprised at the revelation as Naruto continued to speak. "Even though the state of nothingness could be described as peace for you, but it's not the same for me. Peace for me would be a time where there's harmony without conflict and violence. A time where everyone could understand one another, a world free of hate, a world where the cycle of hatred would be non-existent." The petite girl nodded but said. "We continue agreeing to disagree on the concept of peace. But if you want to repopulate Earth, can't you simply create life on Earth once more?" "I could, but somehow I couldn't create humans. Every attempts I took turned out like that." Naruto explained as he pointed towards his two creations that simply smiled apologetically. "And what's wrong with them? Other than the fact that they have wings and light above their head, they're way stronger than the humans that once lived here." She once again pointed at Michael and Samuel. "Well that's the point. I just don't feel like I'm human anymore. In fact I don't think I'm human anymore. Seriously, humans have to breathe and eat yet I don't. I suppose I can if I want to, but it's not a necessity anymore." The same could be said about those two. "My sensei wanted peace for humanity, and a world with only beings like me would not be a world where my sensei's dream would be realized." "I continue to question your thoughts. Humans are such fragile and useless creatures. Those creations of yours are simply much stronger than they are, but opinions differ from one another. I shall help if you promise not to disrupt the silence in my realm." "Sure." Naruto immediately answered, grinning brightly as he finally found a way to bring back humanity. "However, the doing repopulating this world would not be me, it is someone I know. His name is Prometheus." "Okay, and when will we see the guy?" "Soon, but as he terraforms this world you must not be here. It's one of his requirements for creating life anyway, he's quite protective of his magical formula to form life." Office explained. "Sure, but where should Michael, Samuel and I go when he's doing his thing?" "My dimension links 3 other plane of existence together. The one we're on and 2 other. One of that is a hollow dimension, you could stay there whilst Prometheus works." "Great." Naruto grinned. Then let us leave. The girl emotionlessly said as four circular magical circles appeared beneath Office and the three winged beings. In a flash of light, the four of them disappeared from the derelict world. Naruto felt dizzy, body stuttered as he opened his eyes. In front of him was a large palace made out of marble. It was held by many marble columns carved in the shape of toga-wearing women, whilst its entablatures were magnificently decorated, giving the palace an immensely refined appearance. Michael and Samuel quickly came to help him stand properly, though he could feel that they were experiencing the headaches themselves. "Daddy, are you alright?" Michael inquired. "Yep, and for the last time, Michael, stop calling me daddy. Even Samuel doesn't." Naruto moaned as he calibrated his bearings. "You seem to have dimension travel sickness. You'll get used to it after a while," Office stated as she walked up to the palace as Naruto and his creations followed. After a few knocks from Office at the overtly large door, it opened to reveal a white hallway decorated in gold leaves, depicting various fights between humans and monsters. The four journeyed to the end of the hallway where a large door was situated. With a wave from Office, the door opened revealing a tan man, supporting a white gold toga inside. At the sight of Office and the power radiating from Naruto, he simply bowed. "Great Office, what might you be here for? And who is this man?" the tan man asked. "He is ... Naruto." Naruto ended, sending back a bow towards the cloaked man. "Is that your name?" Office asked as she sent the short-haired blonde a questioning look. "It is, I was wondering when you'll ask." He sarcastically deadpanned before he turned back to the toga-cloaked man who gave him a smile. "I'm Prometheus, delighted to make your acquaintance." However, before Naruto could say anything, Office cut him off. "Prometheus, I want you to recreate humans in the realm where this man is from. Humans like the one I've first created in this dimension." Office nodded as Prometheus continued. "Of course, you came at a rather good time as well, I suppose. I was trying to find a reason to avoid joining the war between my uncle, Kronos, and his children. You do have to take me there though, as I simply could not locate this world alone." Office nodded as 5 magic circles appeared beneath the 5 of them, and with a blinding flash of light, they traveled the dimension. "Magnificent," was the word that Prometheus uttered the moment he arrived on the land where the former elemental nations was located. "This place is the ideal place for terraforming," the Titan exclaimed excitedly, his eyes seemed to shine as he scanned the derelict land. He turned towards the 4 of them before he said, "If you will excuse me." Office nodded to the phrase before she opened up the void sphere she initially used to travel and started walking into it. "Hey. Are you sure that we can go in there?" Naruto spoke, voicing out both Michael and Samuel's sentiments about walking into the void. "Ah, I forgot. You just have to cover yourself with your power and you will be fine," she answered before she continued walking. "Crazy witch. What if Naruto-sama got hurt?" Samuel suddenly voiced, fearing for his creator's health. Office seemed unaffected by Samuel's outrage and simply, "He'll be alright, but you too won't," she finished as she walked into the void, leaving one blanched-faced Samuel, who was pulled by a chuckling Naruto, along with Michael into the void. "So this is where you live, huh?" the blue-eyed blonde asked as he entered the dimensional gap. Office merely nodded at his question. Within the dimensional gap seemed to be an endless void, where in every direction, there is a mix of iridescent color. "Office, don't you feel lonely here?" Naruto further asked, but Office did not reply and simply floated up as she signaled for them to follow. "Are we there yet?" Naruto asked, yet Office did not reply, prompting him to continue asking to leave, and the normally emotionless Office seemed to sport a ticked mark. Michael, fearing that the girl might simply abandon them, tried finding topics for Naruto to talk about, but even that did not seem to stop the "are we there yet" that continued to pop up time after time. After a seemingly endless time of flying and equally endless questioning of "are we there yet?" Office simply stopped before she opened a void door and walked in, followed by Naruto, Michael and Samuel. At first glance, the place was a field of endless whiteness, but after closer scrutiny, the whiteness were clouds, more specifically a floating mass of tangible cloud. "So tangible clouds exist?" Naruto spoke in awe as Office nodded before she said, "I suggest you find something to do for a while here, maybe create some more of your kind. You're going to have to wait here for some time." "Eh? How long is some time?" Very, 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 very long. I'll come to tell you when it's done." The little girl seemed to smile at Naruto's shocked face as she opened up her void door. Though before she went in, Naruto grabbed her into a fierce hug. Thank you so much." Naruto grinned, tears stinging in his eyes as he released her from the hug. "Friends hugs one another," he explained. "Without you I would have been so lost. You're welcome to visit anytime, alright?" Office nodded as she walked into the void. He turned towards his 2 companions and asked, "So guys, want to explore?" Exploration turned out rather successful with albeit unsuccessful results. It turned out that tangible clouds were the only things that exist in this realm. Naruto gave us his attempt to further explore, but Michael and Samuel had not relented. He let out an annoyed huff at the blankness of the place before he saw a circular black void appearing. "Office," he shouted as he quickly ran over to the void. However, the blonde was surprised to find an older version of Office standing before him. "You certainly aged fast." He joked at her appearance as she replied. "I shape-shifted." "What?" "I shape-shifted," she again said. Naruto sent a what the hell look at her and voiced his question once more. "What are you?" "I'm a dragon." "What?" asked Naruto, who now sent Office a "what are you even talking about" look. "I'm a dragon," she repeated. "Aren't dragons supposed to be like, I don't know, bigger?" "I'm a shape-shifting dragon." "Okay. Whatever you say. So what are you here for?" "You said I could come anytime, so I came. Can't I?" "Of course you can, you're my friend," Naruto said as he grinned at the company before he spoke out an idea that suddenly popped into his head. "Do you want to play cards?" "Cards?" she questioned. "You don't know what it is, do you? It's this." Naruto spoke as he used Banbutsu SMZM to create a deck of cards. Office looked at the deck in interest as Naruto explained the rule of blackjack. "Both of us will be dealt with an initial 2-card hand. We need to add together the value of their cards. Face cards, kings, queens, and jacks, are counted as 10 points. You can count an ace as 1 point or 11 points. All other cards are counted as the numeric value shown on the card. After getting the 2 cards, you can either take an additional card or keep what you have. You win by having a score of 21 or by having the highest score that is less than 21. Scoring higher than 21 means you lose. Get it?" Office nodded in interest as Naruto gave her the cards. After about 20 minutes worth of game, Naruto started to feel bad. Even though Office seemed to enjoy the game, Naruto felt horrible for winning every round and opted to ask Office to play another game instead. Office nodded innocently, interested in seeing another game as Naruto used Banbutsu SMZM to create a shogi board along with its associated pieces. The end result wasn't as well as Naruto had hoped. Courtesy from the fact that Naruto had not known the rules that well either. They ended up stopping the game as their moves became more and more artistic. "I wish there were more to this place than just tangible clouds," the blonde voiced. "Why don't you create other beings like Michael and Samuel?" she curiously inquired. "I was thinking about it, but I really can't think up any names," he truly answered. After all, Michael was a name that simply popped up while Samuel was named by Office pseudo-clairvoyance. "I shall help you. Wait here for a while," she spoke as she opened up her void portal again before she stepped in. Naruto waited for about 5 minutes before Office came back with a parchment in her hand. She walked up to him before she handed him the parchment. Inside was a long list of names Naruto had not seen before. "Where did you get these names from?" he questioned, genuinely interested. "I know someone who can see small glimpse of the future. I asked for a list of name and I was given this," she answered as the blonde once again gave her a deadpan look. "Okay. Well, let's see. Gabriel seems to be a nice name. Hey, Office, can you shape-shift until I say stop?" Office nodded at his request and started to shape-shift. Her first form was a gigantic troll, causing Naruto to yell, "Keep it somewhat human, please." After a while of shape-shifting, Naruto decided that the best form for Gabriel was to be an extremely beautiful woman with curly blonde hair and a voluptuous figure. He focused the power to his hand as he used Banbutsu SMZM to create her. Office watched wide-eyed as Naruto powers began to materialize a perfect copy of her present form. When the lights died down, there were 2 identical women. "How was it?" "Interesting," Office stated as she changed to her long black-haired child form. "Oh, your name is Gabriel, okay?" Naruto turned to the newly created woman with 6 pair of wings behind her. The blonde-haired woman simply nodded. At that moment, Michael and Samuel came, so Naruto asked them to take care of Gabriel as he walked off with Office. "Do you always imagine something before you create them?" the black-haired girl asked. "Sometimes, when I created the cards and the board games I did. Not when I created Michael and Samuel though. Even if Samuel seemed to share an uncanny resemblance to one of my deceased friend." "Why? Why what? Why would you let me help you create her?" "Friends help each other, so of course I would want you to help me create her since you're my friend." Naruto grinned as he spoke. Office did not reply, and Naruto took it as her acceptance towards their friendship. "I want to play cards again," she suddenly spoke. "Sure, don't blame me if you lose," the blonde replied with a grin, noticing a small smile adoring Office's face. After an hour or so of losing, Office abruptly said, "I have to go," and started opening the void portal. As she started walking it, Naruto soft grabbed her wrist. "Being alone is incredibly lonely. So you don't have to go, you know." Naruto spoke softly. Office merely nodded, but the void portal closed down. About 4 to 5 months had passed since Naruto started staying in the realm of tangible clouds. In the past months he created many more beings with wings that he named Uriel, Raphael, Metatron, Sandalphon, Rigel, Raziel, Serial and Remiel. After the creation of Remiel, Offa suggested for Naruto to add some aspects of the people he knows into his creation. She told him that doing so would help him move away from the past, as he doesn't have to keep all the memories to himself. He debated about doing so for some times and finally relented. Those creations were Azazel, Shemhaz-I, Barakiel, Armros, Sahariel, Penemu and Tamiel. In them were aspects he remembered about his godfather and sensei, Jiraiya, as well as many of his precious people. Finally he created Kakabiel, a creation where he added in his childish feeling of rejection, so he could truly feel that he could begin anew. Everything seemed wonderful, as his pseudo-family got larger and larger. Tangible cloud realms even have more than just cloud. This came in the form of a white gigantic castle surrounded by flowery fields, courtesy of Gabriel and Office's idea that Naruto created via his Banbutsu SMZM. One day Office came up to him before she said, "I think enough time has passed." "What do you mean?" "About 4 billion years have passed in your world since Prometheus terraformed it." "What?" Why Samuel became linked with the depiction of a snake and to the notion of shame. If you've read this story carefully, you would have realized the winged beings created by Naruto are naked. "Why aren't they clothed?" you asked. Simple, Naruto did not feel that he was a fashion designer and so did not feel that he have create clothes. After all, Michael and Samuel were guys, so why should he bother? Well, the problem came after he created Gabriel. It was another day in the realm of tangible clouds when Gabriel started exploring the place with Michael and Samuel. Michael had taken off first, leaving Samuel with Gabriel. Gabriel, being curious about things as she usually is, asked Samuel. "Samuel, why is my chest fatter than yours?" Samuel, who was as innocent as newborns usually are, answered. "Since Naruto-sama created you later, he might have made you stronger than Michael and I, therefore the large chest. But it doesn't feel strong at all. It's all squishy and mushy. It's also a little heavy. I suppose you have to ask Naruto-sama then," Samuel concluded. The blonde woman became silent for a while before she gave Samuel her next inquiry. "Why do you have something hanging down there and I don't?" She spoke as she pointed her finger at little Samuel. Possibly the same reason. You could move faster without it, I suppose. Do you think Master Naruto have it as well?" "I don't know, you have to ask him." "Hey Samuel. Let's go find Master." "Sure," he replied as the two of them flew over to Naruto, who was playing artistic and random shogi with Office. "Master Naruto, I've got something to ask you." "Shoot it," Naruto spoke as he concentrated on his next random shogi move. "Why are my chest larger and more jiggly than Michael and Samuel?" the blonde girl cheerfully asked. Naruto, shocked by the question, collapsed onto the shogi board, ending the game as Office concluded that she had won. "What?" he spoke hesitantly. "Why are my chest larger and more jiggly than Michael and Samuel?" she repeated. Because you are a girl and those two are guys," Naruto sarcastically answered. "Oh, so those two have those snake-like things down their hips because they're guys?" The short-haired blonde nodded at her question as she continued, "Do you have the snake-like things as well?" Naruto continued to nod at her inquiry. "Does that mean that Office does not have those snake things?" Gabriel asked. "Yes, no," came the voice of both Naruto and Office in that order. "So Office and does have those snake-like things?" Office nodded as Naruto deadpanned. "Could you please show it to me?" Gabriel asked. The petite black-haired girl nodded as she formed a black snake in her hand. The reptile moved toward Samuel before it slithered up his leg, moved to his torso and coiled over his manhood, causing a groan of pleasure to erupt from Samuel's lips. "Ew. It's the same size," cried Gabriel. "I'm feeling all hot and bothered, what should I do?" "I could let it slither in you," pointed out Office emotionlessly as she uncoiled the snake from Samuel Jr. and let it slither towards Gabriel, who stared at it in excitement. However, before it reached Gabriel, a black orb, courtesy of Naruto, destroyed the snake as he shouted a loud stop. His face blushed crimson. Everything went still as Naruto quickly used Banbutsu Smzo to create clothes for Gabriel and Samuel before he threw it at them. "Wear this," he shouted. "But Master Naruto, I want to know what happens when the snake slithers into me." Gabriel pouted as she reasoned. "Why, you can only do that when there's two of you in a room. Not in public. And from now on wear those clothes." "What's happening? Are you alright Naruto-sama, your face is really red," came the voice of Michael, who suddenly flew down. Fabrics of clothes was threw at his face as Naruto shouted. "Wear them." P.S. This story will play quite a major part in future chapters. Why the two dragons fight. Office, are you really a dragon? It was about 3 months after Naruto came to the realm of tangible clouds when he questioned this to Office. The black-haired woman merely nodded at his inquiry as the blonde continued his questioning. "Are there other dragons around?" Office merely nodded as Naruto continued. "Could you take me to see them?" Again she nodded before she stood up and opened a void portal and signaled for the blonde to follow her. After stepping in the portal, the first thing he saw was a large congregation of greeneries. Damn, you've got to teach me how to make travel like that. Naruto muttered whilst Office nodded to his request. She continued walking further as Naruto silently followed her until they finally reached a large clearing in the forest. We wait. Office spoke as she sat down in the clearing, gesturing for Naruto to do the same. The word shogi came out from Office's lips whilst Naruto simply sighed and made a shogi board. After about 2 hours of playing random shogi, a sudden sound of cracking made way to Naruto's ear. The sky seemed to crack like shards of mirrors before 2 large western dragons made their way out of it. To Naruto's left was a large red dragon with green eyes and to his right was a large white dragon with blue eyes. They both flew down to the large clearing as Naruto watched them in awe as he finally got to see a real dragon. "Hey, Office," cried the red one. The black-haired woman did not seem to take notice of the greeting as she pointed towards the red dragon before she said, "He, Drake." She then moved her finger towards the white dragon and spoke, "He, Albion." Emotionless as ever, "Aren't you, Office? Drake and I just went to the land of the bats for our hunting, you should join us and see how I beat Drake to his target," voiced the white dragon, Albion. "HMMP, you can only beat me in your dreams," retorted the Drake, but he seemed to be ignored by Albion. "Bats?" questioned Naruto. "Ah, so you might have not seen them. They are like you, but instead of those shining wings, they have black ones instead," explained the red reptile. "Okay, bat wings, weird huh?" The blonde stated as he looked at Office, who was pointing her fingers at his wings. "Point," said Naruto as he accepted his equally strange weirdness. "Anyway, Office, why are you here?" asked the white one. The one in question merely looked at Naruto and spoke. "He wanted to see dragons." "Are you not a dragon as well?" "He did not believe that I am a dragon," retorted Office as Naruto chuckled at her annoyed yet restrained face. "And who might this guy be?" questioned the red one. "He is Naruto," answered the infinite dragon. "Oh ho, you are incredibly powerful. I am Drake, the third strongest dragon after the Apocalypse Dragon, Great Red and the Infinite Ouroboros, Office. And I am Albion, the third strongest dragon after Great Red, the Apocalypse Dragon, Office the Infinite Ouroboros. Is this where you got your infinite speech from?" asked Naruto to the woman next to him, who merely nodded. "And wait a minute, how can there be two third strongest dragon? Which one of you is stronger?" continued Naruto, and he thought about their similar introduction. "It is easily I," exclaimed the two dragons in synchronicity. "No. It is I." They once again shouted in synchronicity. "I shall burn you to crisp," screeched Drake. "I shall divide you to nothingness," countered Albion. The two dragons flew up into the sky as they started fighting viciously with one another. Naruto simply sent Office, "Are you serious?" look as she opened her void portal and pulled him in. "There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Hamlet. 4 billion years," repeated a shocked Naruto at Office's statement. The black-haired girl merely nodded as she explained. "To create humans and other animals it requires time. Prometheus merely set off the process as we wait. Time flows differently in different dimensions, it flows faster in your original one than in this one." "Does that mean that I could not return to this place anymore after going back?" the blonde questioned. Office shook her head as she explained. "You have enough power to force the time of this dimension to move in accordance to the time of your original dimension." Her answer greatly relieved Naruto, as he believed that humans might not take well to beings with wings, and this place could always be a haven for them if they were to be rejected. "So how do I do that?" "As we travel through my home, you shall keep track of your magical essence in this dimension. When we arrive on your original realm, simply strengthen the track. By adding enough power to the track, you shall be able to link the time between the two dimensions as well as travel between them with ease." But won't that disturb your home?" "I did promise not to disturb your dimensional gap," Naruto questioned as Office turned away whilst she spoke. "If it's for you, I shall tolerate." "Thanks," Naruto said, sending her his trademarked grin. The blonde then telepathically called for his winged creations to group up. He told them about finally going back to his original realm, causing many to be filled with excitement. Michael and Samuel stood by his side as he told Office that they were ready. The black-haired girl nodded as she opened a larger than normal portal which she and Naruto stepped it. They were soon followed by Naruto's winged creations. Blinding light flashed Naruto's eyes as he stepped out from the portal that emerged in his original realm. He followed Office's instruction and linked the time tracks between the two worlds, stabilizing the two dimensions with one another. The azure-eyed blonde spread his sensory and felt millions of life inhabiting the planet. He smiled, realizing that humanity had been recreated, even though they did not. There, standing in front of him was a black-haired young man clad in a set of knee-long white toga. He sported a winged flat hat and a winged pair of sandals. His hand held a winged staff with snakes wrapped around it. I am Hermes, messenger of Olympus. Lord Zeus demands to know if you were the one who commissioned the construction of this world. His lordship demands your presence immediately. Spoke the newly arrived messenger who seemed to ignore the presence of Naruto's winged parade behind him. Well, this is getting weird, Naruto thought as he looked at Office, who seemed unconcerned as ever, yet Naruto had learned to understand her expression better, and her present expression told him that she was as confused as he was. Who is this Lord Zeus, and how did he know of me? Lord Zeus is the overlord of this dominion. Through the Titan Pro the messenger stopped before I once more spoke. You shall come with me to Lord Zeus. This is going from strange to horribly strange. He seemed to be saying something about Prometheus. Guess I'll have to use that to understand the situation better. Naruto thought as he lifted his hand towards the messenger's head before grabbing it. His action earned a cry of outrage from the black-haired young man, but those cries stopped as Naruto's azure eyes gained a ripple-like patterns as he uttered ninjin. Enormous amount of knowledge flooded into Naruto's head as he saw images of Prometheus being chained by the one called Zeus for giving humanity in his dimension the knowledge of fire. Initially unwilling to reveal his love for humanity, he was then forced to drink the water from the fountain of truth, the action that caused him to reveal the existence of this world. Zeus and the other gods of Olympus saw Prometheus's unwillingness to share the existence of the new realm to them as an act of treason. They traveled to this world with Prometheus before they chained him to a mountain where an eagle ate his liver at a daily rate as it continues to regrow before they started calling themselves gods and spread their faith for humanity. The coming of the Olympic pantheon generated a burst of energy within the galaxy. This alerted other pantheons of life within the dimension, and soon they also came. Along with the Olympic pantheon led by Zeus, Poseidon and Hades, was the Shraddha Hindu pantheon, led by Indra and Shiva, whilst Odin led the Nordic pantheon. These powerful beings started calling themselves God, an act that simply left a bad impression on Naruto. It eerily reminded him of Nagato, who initially believed that peace could be achieved through brute force. Along with these gods also came the devils, beings with bat wings who tempted humans to explain their desires. The devils granted them before eating up the human souls for them to gain a short burst of power. Another act that left a foul taste in Naruto's mouth. What worried the blonde more was the fact that none of the gods seemed to be taking any actions in dealing with the devils. Releasing his hand from the messenger's head, he turned his eyes back to normal as he accustomed himself to this new knowledge. The action, however, caused the messenger to continue speaking. What did you do to me? You can explain that in your audience with Lord Zeus. Hermes nodded to himself as Naruto looked at him with indifference. The messenger did not expect Naruto's fist to suddenly crash towards him, knocking him out after hearing Naruto's last word, declaring. You can tell you Lord Zeus to fuck off. Naruto-sama, could you tell us what had just happened? Came the resolute voice of Samuel. The short-haired blonde released a loud sigh as he explained the situations to his creations. Basically, Prometheus got interrogated. Other powerful beings knew the existence of this world. They came to this world before us and started calling themselves God. And there's things with bat wings called devils which eat human soul. Naruto summarized as his creations led on various degrees of gasp. And what will you do, daddy? Asked an intrigued Michael. Well, for starters, we're going free Prometheus from these bastards, then we'll do something about those devils. Can't have them eating all the human soul after all my efforts to create humans, could we? And for the last time, Michael, stop calling me daddy. Naruto huffed out his reply. His horde of winged beings nodded at his plan, and Naruto dashed off into the horizon, followed by Office and his parade. On top of the snowy mountains, Naruto only saw the shadow of the man he once knew. On the highest peak of the mountain laid Prometheus' chained body, all battered and bloodied. Michael and the other angels gasped as they saw an eagle pecking out the liver of the Titan's worn-out body, further bleeding out the injured Titan. Naruto had enough of the violence. He generated the energy to his hand, then blasted the eagle to smithereens in a flash of light. Flying up to Prometheus's body, the blonde started examining the chains. Sorry. The Titan gasped as he saw the 20-winged blonde man. It's alright, these chains sure are thick. Naruto muttered before he used Banbutsu Sumzo to generate the divine blade, Nunaboku, and proceeded to slice the chains as if they were Swiss cheese. Freed from restraints, the Titan's bruised body weakly tumbled down before he was caught by Michael and Samuel on his two sides. He needs rest, Naruto spoke before the group descended on the warmer ground below. Sorry. Prometheus once again gasped out after an hour rest. It's really alright, I read the mind of Hermes. There was really nothing you could do. It's not your fault, Dadabeo. You do not understand, this is something that Hermes does not know. The Titan croaked out. What do you mean? Stealing fire for the humans in my dimension made Zeus angry. Before he captured and chained me, he gave a woman named Pandora a box filled with dark curses. She, out of curiosity, opened it. Within the box was the curse of disease, which affected all the humankind in my world. When Zeus opened a portal to this realm, it seemed as if this disease came with it. Prometheus explained. But humans always have disease, it comes with age and everything. Naruto reasoned. Yes, but this is an epidemic created by Hephaestus. It was Zeus' act to prevent disloyalty. That bastard. Now we have one more problem other than the devils to deal with. The blonde mumbled. Devils? Yeah, beings with wings that eat human souls. Oh, those. I take it that you simply read Hermes' memory. Naruto nodded at the Titan's inquiry as Prometheus continued. Those grandchildren of mine ignored most of their existence and see them as being who eats the soul of human. The truth is not that simple. Before I was chained, I had a chance to get acquainted with the devils. You will find that within the society of the devils, living in the realm of the underworld, there are two factions. One faction believes in the taking of human soul for a short period power boost, whilst the other faction does not believe so and continues to protest against this act. Unfortunately, the side supporting the taking of human soul is currently the ruler. It is sad that the four great devil houses of Lucifer, Beelzebub, Asmodeus and Leviathan all support the taking of human souls. But Naruto, you should always remember that not all devils are bad. Uzumaki nodded at Prometheus's words, pondering whether his creation could one day turn antagonistic. He hoped that his creation of Kakabiel would not be a mistake. He let go of the depressing thoughts as he once more said. Yeah, we'll deal with the good devils later, but before that we have to deal with the disease from Pandora's box and the bad devils. Staying with the Ouroboros office for more than 5 months had its own benefits. In the time when they were not playing cards or random and artistic shogi, Office taught Naruto's the magic that she had learned from the various worlds she had traveled to. Naruto found that magic was much like chakra, and with his Rinnegan eyes, Naruto quickly mastered the magic of the different dimensions. This mastery came to use as Naruto finally found a way to help humans. Linking the genetic code of humans to the spell, the blonde made it possible for one with good intentions to have their wish granted. For further protection against the devils, Naruto allowed the magic to generate and materialize a pure-hearted desire into weapons, which later became known as sacred gears. Wanting his creations to act as sentinels of the system, he added into the spell a function for them to draw on the light energy he placed inside the system, in the case where they might be attacked by the devils. Foreseeing the growth of humanity, he created a mean to mass-produce more winged beings in case of war with the devils. The end result came in the form of a 12-pointed star inside 3 layers of runes inscribed circles. In the center lies the 12-pointed star, and within it is an image of the sun, and inside the sun is an eye, surrounding it are the phases of the moon. The eye is interconnected to the 4 cardinal points, the north, the east, the south and the west. Above the sun lies another magic circle in the form of the moon, the place where Naruto was to generate in his energy to start and fuel the magic. Since the system was going to drain him for a while, he left its maintenance to his 4 most powerful followers, the first 4 angels he created. Michael stood on the symbol of the east, Samuel stood on the symbol of the west, Gabriel stood on the symbol of the north, and Uriel stood on the symbol of the south. As Naruto walked towards the center, Office voiced out her sentiments. Naruto, are you sure that you want to do this? Attaching yourself to all your creations as well as humans will drain more than half of your powers. It could prove dangerous if any of the Pantheon were to attack. Daddy Naruto-sama, Master Naruto, my lord, is it true? Reverberated the voices of his 4 12-winged creations. Office, you really shouldn't have said that. And seriously, enough with the honorifics. Naruto complained before he continued. I really couldn't use all this power myself anyway, I'd rather use it to protect humanity so that one day they might realize my sensei's dream. And it really shouldn't be a problem. Most of the power levels I sensed wouldn't be a threat even with less than half of my original power. And if there really was a threat, you're going to help me, aren't you, Office? The blonde questioned his long-haired companion. She did not reply, but after a few seconds, she slowly nodded. Naruto, happy with her answer, sent her his trademark grin as he flew up to the magic plane hosting the symbol of the moon. Well, let's get started. He spoke before he channeled into the magic circle his massive energy reserve. The moon plane was soon called the throne of heaven, whilst the overall magic circle became known as the heaven system. I used to be Snow White, but I drifted. May West. After the creation of the heavenly system, humans of Earth regained back much of their hopes. The epidemic that came with the coming of the Olympic Pantheon started decreasing at a rapid rate. The spell circle did its jobs, with each passing days, more and more angels were created to carry the purpose of protecting humanity. Humans' contact with devils lessened as the pure-willed humans were helped by the winged beings. These beings were soon labeled as angels after the term angelus, or messengers, which flew down from the sky. Above the cloud where a ray of shining light continuously illuminated, courtesy of the magic circle, was soon labeled heaven. The heavenly system worked as expected, and life was getting better for humans of Earth. Prometheus had left Naruto and journeyed back to his own dimension in order to solve the epidemic plaguing it, as the magic circle did not incorporate his dimension within it. Time continued to flow after the creation of the heaven system. The initial gigantic power drain in starting and fueling the system left Naruto in a coma-like state where he slept during and after the drain, whilst occasionally waking up. The running of the system was regulated by his first 4 creations as expected. In one of his wake after a long slumber, Azazel visited him. Azazel has always wondered about the system's manifestation of sacred gears. He had once asked his creator, Naruto, in order to achieve some understanding of it, but Naruto's reply was that he himself didn't fully understood the process as well. Naruto explained that the spell he used gave protection through the sacred gear. Though he had no idea how it truly worked. The black and blonde hair angel requested Naruto's permission in exploring them, a request that his creator granted if subjects were not harmed in the process. Studying sacred gears was a rather an easy process. He simply had to fly down from the skies and visit one of the earthly inhabitants. Inhabitants that simply squeal in delight when they saw their heavenly messengers. He and his followers then simply put those crazy fans to sleep before they started baptizing the sacred gears, which earthlings contain. After finishing their research, he allowed them to wake before he bid farewell. Complication arose when followers of both sexes pleaded to go with him so that they could engage in sexual acts with the dashing messenger of heaven. Azazel, being Azazel, obliged to the demands of the busty and beautiful women, whilst he sent the other, especially men, to sleep, as he did not indulge in such sexual acts like Uriel and Metatron, who he often saw snuggling. Placing a warming spell on his group, his busty and beautiful women, he instructed his subordinates to fly them up towards the tangible clouds before they shared delicious orgies, obviously with magical contraception placed on themselves. Months after months passed as Azazel and his subordinates vehemently continued their sacred and sexual gears research before Azazel finally created the first draft of his report on his hard work. It was for an artificial sacred gear called the Blazer Shining Aura Darkness Blade, a weapon to combat devils if they were to suddenly become hostile. However, it was clearly unfinished. Devising a method to fuse light with darkness seemed to be an impossible. Sighing in defeat, he decided he should ask Naruto for help when his creator woke up. Leaving the written draft on his desk, he walked into the bedroom of his complex where the willing girls are staying. "Ah. It's Azazel-sama, everyone," squealed one of the women in the complex. All eyes were on him as the 10 females stampeded at him before they made a soaring jump at his body. Within seconds, all traces of clothing were off his body. "Well ladies, no need to hurry, you don't want to indulge yourselves on this hard floor, do you?" The angel spoke as he felt the sucking of his fingers. Using his magic, he levitated the 10 girls as he walked up to his large bed. He lied down on his bed and spoke. "Well girls, what are you waiting for?" With that, the angel released his levitation spell. The 10 girls squealed in synchronicity as they jumped onto bed with him, delighting him in ecstasy as they slowly suck his lips, his manly parts, his fingers, his toes, his nipples, his everything. However, his ecstasy came to an abrupt end as the door creaked open, revealing a smiling Michael with the draft in his hand. The first angel made a shock face as he saw Azazel's compromising position. "Ah, I should have knocked," the long-haired blonde exclaimed as he put his free hand to his lips to emphasize his shock. "You should have." Deadpanned Azazel. The 10 ladies, however, seemed to ignore the appearance of Michael and continued to suck his privates and other parts. "What do you want?" uttered the semi-blonde, using all of his efforts to utter those words. "I just came to day high. But then I saw this. It's amazing, Azazel." Waving the draft of the artificial sacred gear around, the first angel continued. "With this, we have nothing to fear from those devils. Oh, and didn't Daddy says that the things you're doing should only be done in a room with 2 people? Well, never mind. I'll see you later." Michael finished as he left Azazel's sight. It's not done," shouted a dumbstruck Azazel. He tried to stand up but found it impossible. Every little touches and ministration done to him by the 10 ladies made his body shudder. He succumbed to the inability as the orgy continued, hoping the Michael would not do anything drastic. Horrible would be an understatement to what Azazel was experiencing. Hundreds of the angels in heaven, as the earthling dubbed, seemed to be sending him skeptical looks. The reason for those looks? Michael. The archangel, being as energetic as he was, decided to publish Azazel's drafted report on his artificial sacred gear. The result was horrifying. Immediately after the magical publication of his draft, Kakabiel, who seemed to have an undying hatred for devils, decided to create the Blazer Shining Aura Darkness Blade and use them on the devil that he saw on Earth. The Blazer Shining Aura Darkness Blade turned out to be a flop as Azazel's expected, immediately shattering after Kakabiel's input of his light magic. To make matters worse, the devil was a strong one and literally thrashed the 10-winged angel. Kakabiel, however, narrowly escaped death, flew back to heaven, and started telling everyone how Azazel's project was simply a curtain to him to engage in sexual acts, a statement which was not entirely true, but it wasn't one that he could completely reject either. After all, he did enjoy his time with his horde of busty and beautiful women. What Azazel found hard to believe was that all of the commotion had occurred whilst he was engaging in his luscious orgies. Angels surely are efficient in what they do, he supposed. He felt shamed, he was a researcher by heart, and to see his research disgraced was humiliation in its highest form. Who was he blaming? Michael, obviously. If the energetic twit didn't suddenly pop in to say hi, he would have truly completed the artificial gear that would be fully appreciated by the denizens of heaven. While he knew that Michael did it with good intentions, he was man or angel man in rage, and he needed something to blame. It did not help that Gabriel had now learned about his orgy sessions, which produced orgasmic results. She now took it as a mission to stop his orgies, claiming that Naruto had told her that sexual things should be done between two people, not between groups of people. He had learned about the story from Michael, and he simply looked at Gabriel with a deadpan expression as she gave he the talk. Worst thing was that Naruto could not fix her misunderstanding. After all, he was still in deep sleep. Gabriel was not a happy angel after she learnt of Azazel's unruly sexual acts. She remembered clearly the scene where Master Naruto had told her off for asking him whether it would be okay for the snakes to slither into her. Why you can only do that when there's two of you in a room. Not in public. Was what Master Naruto clearly stated. Well, public clearly meant somewhere where there are more than two people, and Azazel being in a room filled with so many people was clearly public. He was going against what Naruto had said. Deciding that it was her duty to curb Azazel's naughty tendencies, she proceeded walking towards the great magical circle. On the plane where the grand magic circle was placed, Gabriel saw Master Naruto asleep on the moon plane, as power was continuously sapped out of him. After Naruto started the draining, Office left, claiming she would be back once he truly awakens. She wished that the draining process would be over soon, so that she could ask him what action should be taken. Alas, it was not to be, and it was up to her to deal with Azazel. Moving into her circle labeled North. She felt herself being one with the great power of Naruto. The magic was highly complex, and to operate it without the help of Michael, Samuel and Uriel was extremely difficult. She considered asking them for help, but she feared their refusal and decided to proceed on alone. After continuous adjustment of her power, she found herself in tune with the great magic. Even so, she could not fully control the spell, and could only place the command of punishment with more than too impure and debauchery. Before she finished, she also tied punishment with betrayal. Ending the flow of her power towards the grand magic, she sighed in relief, happy that she had completed her personal mission. Tired from the excessive usage of magic, she fell asleep, not hearing the loud ah. That resonated heaven. Azazel was pissed to say the least. He and his followers had been shamed by their research. Stumping off into the horizon, he supposed a party for the shamed ones would be suitable for such occasion. Calling on his followers' helpers friends, Barakiel and Shemhazai, he instructed them to tell all their researchers to bring up all the willing women so that they could celebrate in being the shamed ones of heaven. Shemhazai looked at him with a blank expression, as if telling him to stop acting like a child. Azazel cared not, and Shemhazai finally relented. The celebration was held in Azazel's mansion that night. The ratio between earthlings and angels were about 10-1, pleasing Azazel. Earthling food was magically conjured as the celebration continued in vigor. It wasn't long after the start of the celebration that many earthlings and angels found themselves in compromising positions. 22 women surrounded Azazel. 10 were sucking and licking the fingers in his hand, the other 10 were doing the same thing to his feet. One was giving his manhood much ministration as the other thoroughly explored the cavern in his mouth with her tongue, as he did the same to her. Around him were similar sights. Numerous men surrounded Penemu. 2 were fondling her freests, 1 was exploring her lips, and another was doing the same to the beep as 4 others sucked on her hands. Azazel chuckled at the fun that his team of researchers were experiencing. He didn't expect the skies to suddenly darken and rain down bolts of lightning towards him and his followers. Ah! Was the sound heard when he regained consciousness. It was when he realized that they were falling down from the tangible clouds, literally. They were literally falling down butt naked. The next thing he realized was that their formerly white wings were now in different shades of black, his being jet black. It was when he heard oops, it went in, from one of followers did he realize that the earthlings were not affected by the bolts, and now they were having sex whilst falling off the sky butt naked. Using a spell to slow down the fall, Azazel supposed he could use the opportunity to research some flying sex. Naruto's eyes finally opened from his deep slumber. The last of the power drain was finally over, thank goodness. He could finally move around. He did not expect to be faced with a shamed face Gabriel, who looked as if she was about to cry. Sensing the problem, Naruto asked. Hey now, there's no need to cry, just tell me what's happening. I tweaked the system a little and Azazel and his team fell out of the clouds, their wings became black and they couldn't stand on it anymore. She confessed tear-faced. Her confession was faced awkward silence before Naruto asked a confused what? We keep moving forward, opening new doors, and doing new things, because we're curious and curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. Walt Disney. Naruto's journey to the ground of Earth was interesting to say the least after his incredibly long sleep. The warm sun revealed the overabundance of the green and lush trees. He could see and smell the scent of various vibrant wildflowers surrounding him as he landed on the ground and vanished his wings. He wished that he could enjoy the sceneries more, albeit that was not the case. To say that he was shocked by what Gabriel had done would be an understatement. Naruto remembered his mouth opening and closing continuously after he heard the news, as if he was some kind of distorted goldfish. Was he angry with her? No, not really, after all, the falling of Azazel and his friends were caused by the complexities of the magic circle, rather than Gabriel's intent. All she did was add in another set of commands and let the magic took its own cause. And to be honest, her sentiments were created by his shock when Office offered to slither her snake into Gabriel's hidden cavern. Though what she did caused his current problem. Naruto sighed loudly as he walked towards the constructions inhibited by the angels who fell. At the sight of him, all the black-winged beings went on their knees, adding to his view that the only thing that had changed about them was their wings and their loss of the halo. Hey, sorry for what had happened, but can one of you take me to Azazel? The blonde creator mouthed as one of the fallen respectfully nodded and signaled for him to follow. The blonde was led to a beautiful ivory pavilion, which he suspected Azazel to have created using his magic. Outside he could hear the sound of laughter drifting from the architecture. Inside was what he suspected. Azazel and Shemhazai were engaged in a joyful conversation, sipping alcoholic beverages as they were massaged by a group of women. They bowed in their seats to show their respects as Naruto walked towards them, smiling awkwardly. Sorry about what happened, guys. Azazel waved him off as if it did really mattered. You shouldn't be. Uriel came down to find us before you woke and explained the situation to us. I suppose it's not Gabriel's fault either, she just misinterpreted your meaning of nakedness. Though I should thank her for letting me know the literal meaning of love in the air. And let me tell you that it was awesome. Azazel laughed whilst Naruto blushed crimson, mumbling how his creation could be so perverted. I could turn your wings white and get you guys back to heaven as they're now calling it if you want. Naruto offered as he continued. Though you can't have your orgies anymore unless you want to have more of your flying sex. The black blonde-haired fallen angel made a thoughtful look as he summarized the situation. So you're saying that you could take us all back to heaven, but you can't completely remove the command that Gabriel put into the circle. Naruto went silent before he replied. Well, I could, but that would mean absorbing all the magic to create the circle back into myself and redo the whole process again. Azazel looked thoughtful for a while, the room was covered to awkward silence before the fallen angel sent Naruto a wide smile. Thanks for the offer, Naruto, but we're really fine here. I prefer to have you awake and I can't imagine what life would be without these beautiful girls and their amazing skills. Besides, black is the new white. Well, it was to be expected, but at least I tried. Naruto chuckled at Azazel's answer. It was to be expected really, after all, someone created from Naruto's memory of Jiraiya couldn't last a lifetime without orgies. You can take anyone who wanted to return back though. Azazel offered and Naruto nodded in acceptance. I was surprised to see Kakabiel fall though. He didn't struck me as someone who was interested in sexual affairs. Naruto stated. Azazel merely laughed his questioning of and replied. Everyone has an interest in sexual affairs. I'm sure that you still have some libido even if you don't really show it. I didn't see Kakabiel at the party before we fell, but I suppose he might literally be in the bush somewhere then. The blonde creator snorted at Azazel's overtly simple explanation. He really can't imagine Kakabiel immersed in sexual act, but if Azazel think that he could, he wouldn't argue. He was immensely grateful for Azazel's laid-back and understanding attitude. If the whole system were to be remade, it would rob the humans of their newfound divine protection, and it would take longer to the system to once again be put in place. Letting out a sigh of relief, he stood up and mentally messaged the populace of the Fallens about their situation. Thank you for understanding, I guess I'll see you soon. Naruto said as he sent a wave towards Azazel and Shemhazai and proceeded to exit the pavilion. As expected, of the hundreds who fell, only 3 stood before him. Unexpectedly, Kakabiel wasn't one of the 3, he thought that Kakabiel would prefer to be back in heaven, but he was apparently wrong. However, he did deadpan at the perverseness of the fallen angels who were happy with their current situation, but who was he to judge, he was their creator after all. Naruto covered the 3 fallen angels with magic circles before he released his spell. Light exploded from the bodies of the 3 fallen, momentarily blinding everyone who were watching the process. As the light died down, the three fallen angels retained their white wings and halos. The blonde smiled at his success whilst the other fallen angels stared at him in awe. The light show seemed to have caught the interest of Azazel and Shem's eye as the two walked out of the pavilion to view the commotion. Turning his sight towards Azazel, he threw a crystal shard at the fallen angel. "I nearly forgot to give you this. It's a way to contact me if there's any problem. All you have to do is add in your magic to the crystal." Azazel nodded gratefully for his creator's care as Naruto opened his wings and signaled for the three new angels to follow him. "Well, I'll see all of you again soon." He repeated his earlier phrase before the four angelic beings flew out of the fallen sight. As Naruto approached the outer rim of the invisible magic shell, which protected heaven, he saw a visitor. He was a middle-aged man with gelled hair, which is a mixture of red and blue. Looking closely, the man has heterochromia, making his left eye blue, while his right was red. What surprised Naruto most was that he had the black wings associated with what humans call devils. As the devil sensed Naruto approached, he turned towards the angelic being and smiled, an act that truly caught Naruto off guard. Even though Prometheus had told him not to judge the whole species of devils as evil incarnates, it was difficult to follow through, seeing that they continuously tried to thwart his efforts in making human lives better. The three angels following him were on guard as the devil moved closer towards the group and stopped in front of Naruto. "Oh. You must be the new god that I am hearing about," the devil stated as he beepized Naruto. "God?" asked a surprised Naruto. "Oh, yes, God. That's what the humans on Earth are continuously talking about. I mean, when you create a system that grant miracles whilst you see illuminating lights from the sky, not to mention those winged beings that seem to be helping them. It's hard not to call the figurehead of the whole project God. Not that I'm complaining about what you do, I personally think that it's marvelous, though those four mass seem to thoroughly disagree." God was the first thought that came to Naruto's mind. He never wanted to be called God. It reminded him too much of Nagato. All he wanted was to help the humans, to help them find true peace so that his sensei's dream could be achieved. You seem to not like that implications of the word God. It's a good thing though, if I do say so myself. I mean, it would be a banner of hope for the humans." Naruto raised his eyebrows at the devil's speech. Again surprised at that implication that this devil seemed to care about humans. "And who might you be?" the blonde questioned. "Oh, forgive my rudeness. I was simply surprised to see you. I would have thought this god would look older, forgive my rudeness. I am Mephistopheles, a devil, as you would have already noticed. Great to make your acquaintance." The devil smiled once more and offered Naruto his hand. The blonde creator warily eyed the offered appendage, but finally decided to shake it. Upon contact, the Mephisto suddenly looked pained as he suddenly pulled his hand away. "Ouch. Please control your light powers, I am vulnerable to those powers. Especially when it is as condensed as yours." "Sorry," the blonde said as he rubbed the back of his head. Reducing the power of his light elements, he continued. "I'm Naruto Uzumaki, mind telling me why you're here?" Naruto wearily inquired once more. "Oh, I was simply surprised about the magic system which you developed. It's a masterpiece. Another thing that I'm also curious about is your attachment to the human race. I mean, other godly factions play some role in their lives, but they don't truly believe in helping them," Mephisto answered. "I got the spell from office, I kind of just supplied the energy for it. The workings of the systems are too hard for me to truly understand them either. And for my attachment to humans. Well, I was the one who asked Prometheus to create them here, so I kind of feel that it's my responsibility, you know. And I want them to all live a happy and peaceful life, so of course I'll help them. Though I'm very curious about you. I thought devils make unfair contacts with humans, taking their souls for granting their wish or something." Mephisto's face revealed an element of surprise. How could he not? It was new information for him, after all only the Greek faction knew the fact that Naruto commissioned this world. Not only this, the blonde seemed to have a friendly relationship with the Infinite One. Knowing this, his interest in the blonde simply skyrocketed. "You are sorely mistaken. Some of us believe in the making of those unfair contracts. Well, I suppose it's the majority of us, seeing that the four mass believe so. I personally don't. True, the taking of souls does increase our powers, but it's only for a little while. I personally am curious about the human race as a whole and would not want to hurt them in any way." Mephisto's speech put him up a notch in Naruto's books. But his speech still wasn't really telling Naruto why he was here. "And you're only here because of your interest in the heaven system and your interest in our kind?" No. I'm here to have a little talk with you. I talk of magic, I suppose, a magic which can be given to humans." Well, that was something of interest to Naruto. Turning to his three followers, he told them to go back as he deal with Mephisto. They complained but reluctantly followed his orders. "I suppose we'll have to find somewhere else to talk, seeing that you can't pass the magic shield. Do you have anywhere we could go?" the blonde asked. "Oh, certainly. My place in Lucifid will do fine. Please bear with my teleportation spell for a few seconds. Mephistopheles raised his hand to form a large black magic circle, which engulfed the two of them, before a sudden flash of darkness signaled their disappearance. We are now in Lucifid, the capital of the devils. Though I suggest you dissolve your wings and control your powers before you walk outside. Naruto moved to the window and gazed around in interest. It seemed that the devils also have a city similar to humans. Is this world also connected to Earth by the dimensional gap? The blonde inquired. It is. And when you told me to control my powers, you only meant my light powers, right? Is that not your only power? Nope. Answered Naruto as he stopped radiating the element of light and released fire, earth, wind, water and even darkness. Light's just the easiest to control for me nowadays, so I'd use it most often. Explained Naruto, and the devil's eyes widened in awe. Interesting. Very interesting. If you were to only release the other 5, no one would recognize you to be an angelic being. Spoke Mephisto. Though it is not why we're here. Please, have a seat. Continued the devil as he gestured for Naruto to sit on a large comfortable seat, something that Naruto instantly did. Mephisto followed and proceeded to speak. What I want to do is give humans the ability to use magic. You see, we all use different magic. I use the devil magic created by the devils, whilst you use a different set of magic circles to create your own magic. The Nordic and Hindu faction also use a different set of magic circle. From my research, I found that humans could use magic as well. And so I wish to give them the magic of all the factions. You're my first target, as I believe you would sympathize with me most towards this cause. Naruto nodded and Mephisto explained further. I'm sure the leaders of my world won't be happy, but I don't really care about them. I kind of hate them anyway. That created a small chuckle from Naruto, but the devil continued. I think we could travel around the planet and give humans the knowledge of magic. If we're lucky, the other factions might join us on our noble cause. So what do you think? I think it's brilliant, Adebayo. Consider it a deal. Naruto closed his mouth as his verbal tick emerged. He truly can't be blamed for his excitement. After all, other than his creations and office, the other being he met, namely Hermes, was such an asshole. So to meet someone like Mephisto was incredibly interesting. Shall we shake on it then? Mephisto offered. Naruto nodded as he grabbed Mephisto's hand. This time, Mephisto did not pull back. Mephisto, mind if I go sightsee a little? Naruto asked. No, not at all. I suppose after exploring the town I'll be leaving. So here the blonde threw a crystal shard towards Mephisto, who smoothly caught it. It's a way to get in touch with me. I also marked it with seals so that I could teleport to where it is. All you have to do is add in your magic and I'll know whether you want to talk or whether you are requiring my help. Naruto explained. Mephisto looked baffled. He did not expect Naruto to offer him his help so easily. After all, they just met about 2 hours ago. And sure, they got on quite well, but this was just wow. Some devils who saw themselves as his friends were nowhere half as friendly as Naruto. He supposed he could offer Naruto help as well, albeit a more psychological one. Naruto, I'm sure you'll be contacted by the other faction soon enough. I suggest you don't use the form that you are using. After all, diplomacy dealt by people who look like teenagers aren't the best form of diplomacy. Mephisto chuckled as Naruto gave him a pissed off look. However, the blonde took that to mind. After all, one of the reasons why old man Hokage was a good diplomat was because his old look gave off such a knowledgeable appearance. I'll keep that in mind. Naruto replied as he walked towards the exit. As he was leaving Mephisto's castle to explore Lucifid, a small girl with long black hair ran past him. Her pink eyes were swelled with tears, and through his enhanced hearing, he heard a small sob from the girl's lips. Somehow, something inside him told him to follow her. It was as if there was an invisible force compelling Naruto to follow the black-haired girl. He supposed that seeing the girl running away from her fears reminded him of his situations when he was younger, as if he was seeing a reflection of himself in the girl. Little or not, he had to admit that the black-haired girl was fast, incredibly so. In a matter of minutes, she navigated herself out of Lucifid with him following her in the shadows. As he moved closer towards her, he clearly saw the track on tears on her cheeks. That, however, wasn't what surprised him most. Outside the city, it was a barren wasteland. Yet the little girl continued on running and running. He nearly blew his cover when she continued running towards the steep cliff, yet suddenly the air near the cliff coalesced into a large staircase created from ice, allowing her to easily run across the hollow ravine. Naruto was surprised, to say the least. After all, she seemed so little, yet was able to utilize ice with such little time. He supposed that it was a special ability for devils to use. After crossing the bridge, the little girl sat down, hugged her legs and started bawling. Her cries of hurt pained Naruto, and the blonde decided to use that moment to step in. Hearing the sound of approaching footsteps, the small girl looked up to find a blonde teen moving towards her. It surprised her to say the least, as she had thought that it would be some of her parents' personnel coming after her. Though arguably he could have been one of those personnel, albeit one whom she never saw. "Was it Mummy or Daddy who sent you after me to bring me back?" she asked the blonde-haired strangers who simply looked confused. She supposed that his expression answered her question. "Nah, I just saw you crying and decided to follow," the stranger answered. "I wasn't crying," she replied petulantly. Obviously she could not show weakness. For all she knows, he could be a kidnapper hired to kidnap her, seeing that her family was a rather prominent one. "Sure, you weren't," he answered as he flashed her a bright grin. Somehow as she believed his words that reassured her. The blonde man then brought his hand to her, signaling her to take it, an action which she did as he pulled her up. "Uzumaki Naruto, great to make your acquaintance," Naruto said as he bowed dramatically. Brushing the tears off her face, she smiled at his action as she gave him her name. "I'm Serafal Citri." "So Serafal-chan, why were you crying when I saw you?" Naruto asked her the question he had been most suspicious about since he saw her. Serafal turned away, the question her asked was not one that she had wanted to answer, yet something about Naruto made her reply. "I'm different." "Different?" Serafal nodded at his question. She raised her right hand for him to see as she froze the air and formed a large shard of floating ice in it. "So I see when you made that staircase, impressive by the way." The smiled as he commented, "What's that problem?" "I think it's beautiful and amazing. My power, it hurts the people around me. Today I was swimming with my cousins and brother. The gift of water is the power gave you everyone in my family you know. Everyone in my family has the ability to control and shape water, everyone except me. Somehow all I could do is this." The black-haired girl explained as she looked at the ice shard floating in her hand. "Everyone started using their magic in the pool, and they seemed to be having so much fun. My younger brother, Sinclair, is still too young to use his magic, but after seeing all our cousins use theirs, he wanted to play in the water with magic as well. I can't refuse Sin-chan, I never could. Using my magic, I froze the water and created creations of ice. It was just a small slide at first, but everyone started playing on it and they kept on wanting more and more things to play with, so I tried creating a castle made of ice. It was a disaster. I couldn't control my powers and I froze the whole room. And it hurt Sin-chan that he's now in the medical ward of my house. I followed father's instruction of control my powers, but it's not working." But that she curled herself into a little ball and started bawling. Naruto simply moved closer to her as he used his long arms to wrap her frail form, rubbing her back, providing her comfort as she silently sobbed. After a few minutes passed, Serafal stopped her sobbing and looked up at Naruto. It was warm, being in his arms, contrastingly so from the freezing qualities of her powers. It was nice being in his arms, and dare she say it, she felt protected in his arms. She was amazed at her actions towards him, they only met a few minutes ago, yet somehow she felt as if she could trust him with her problems. Being with him simply banished her father's teachings that one should always remain regal and aloof. Why do I have this power? Why couldn't I simply be the same as everyone else? Why must I have so much power to that point that I can't control it? Am I a monster because of these powers? Will I be a monster if I continue using them? She sniffled as she asked him the questions that had plagued her life, the questions which continuously clouded her thoughts in her sleepless nights. "You're not a monster." Looking into her violet orbs, he asserts. "Serafal-chan. You're a miracle." His answer made her softly smile as she soft blushed. "I think it's just stupid to try and hold back something this amazing. I don't see the point at all. Do you? So I won't hurt anyone. I don't want to hurt you, Naruto." Her reply earned a chuckle from Naruto's lips as he brushed her tears-soaked hair from her face before he tied them into two ponytails. "You won't, I'm just like you." "It's impossible," Naruto spoke as he channeled chakra to his hand, forming two large icicle star-like bows to hold her hair. "Besides, that would make me a monster too, wouldn't it?" Serafal shook her head dumbstruck, but she did manage to. "You're not a monster." "Well, if I'm not a monster then you're not one either," Naruto concluded. She had known that there were people who also use ice, but she never had the chance to talk to them. The Lucifuge family, for example, was renowned in their skills in using ice magic, though her family wasn't on great terms with. "You're not a Lucifuge, are you? Father says that we shouldn't mingle with them," she asked. "No, I'm not a Lucifuge, though I think your father's talking nonsense. Why should adults' affairs affect your life? And really, I think you should just let your powers go for one. Just let it go. You need to know your limits before you can train your skills in using them right. Personally, I think you should just be yourself. Don't pretend to be something that you're not. Just be yourself, that way you won't be overstressed and you'll be able to control your magic much more easily." The blonde words widened Serafal's violet eyes. No one had ever realized that a regal appearance had all been an act and no one had ever told her that she could be herself. No one except Naruto. Her parents kept on telling her the importance of image that she must uphold, that she must be seen regal and all, yet Naruto said otherwise. Can I really be myself? Father always. Yes. You can be yourself. Why would you pretend to be someone else? He repeated. Serafal was having a mental dilemma. True, her parents emphasized that image and postures are important, but they never say that she shouldn't be herself, though she felt that there has always been an implication towards the latter. Yet Naruto told her that she should fully embrace her personality, that doing so would allow her magic to be more controlled. He was a stranger that she had just met, yet she felt that she could trust him with her life. With that decision, she made up her mind. Nodding to him, she answered. Okay, from this day onwards, I shall be 100% me. Naruto certainly thought that she mentally recovered fast, though that was a good thing. Elsewhere, the entire Citri family shuddered. Naruto, will you be my friend? Aren't we already? The blonde said as he grinned at her. His answer seemed to have satisfied her as her tired body fell limp on his as she fell asleep on Naruto's lap. Chuckling at her actions, he decided a rest would be nice and let sleep claim him as well. Naruto woke to a rather large dose of cold ice in his face. Standing in front of him was a rather worried Serafal. Naruto. You said that I'm not a monster, but I did hurt Shin-chan. What if she thinks that I'm a monster? She exclaimed. He decided that even though there were stars in her sentence, she was rather distressed. He won't, he assured. But you don't know. Well, should we go see? She nodded at his proposal as he continued. Can you fly? She shook her head. I'm too young, my wings aren't strong enough. That's okay as well, he spoke. Walking to her, he lifted her small form and placed them onto his shoulders. Adjusting his light power to the minimum so that he won't hurt her, he opened a pair of his wings and took flight. Wow. They're beautiful. You're not a devil, aren't you? If you're asking whether or not I have those black bat wings, then no, I'm not a devil. People call us angels, but I don't really know what we are, to be honest. I'm just here to see a friend. Traveling at a rapid pace, they soon arrived back in Lucifid. Using concealment magic on himself to avoid suspicion, he turned to Serafal as he asked her for direction. She pointed towards a large mansion, which he quickly flew down to. Flying to the medical wing, the two peeked inside to find a small toddler with a similar black hair and violet eyes, as Serafal lying on a bed, crying as two nursemaids surrounded him. That's Shin-chan. He's crying, is he still angry with me? Serafal cried worriedly, tears threatening to fall from her eyes. I'm sure he's not, Naruto spoke as he weaved a spying jutsu to hear what was going on inside. The result satisfied him and Serafal, who was affected by the jutsu as well. Ni-chan. Ni-chan. Were the only words that the toddler uttered as she continued to wail. The two nursemaids looked horribly distressed but finally decided to leave the room. Well, Serafal-chan. Let's go inside, shall we? She nodded at his inquiry. Using his spell, he unlocked the windows and flew inside. Serafal immediately ran toward Sinclair and wrapped the toddler's little body in her arms. The effects were immediate as Sinclair quickly became quiet. Naruto simply stood there and smiled, marveling at the love shared between the two. Thank you for everything. Serafal said as she turned towards him and sent him a grin. Naruto shyly rubbed the back of his head, nodding. He walked toward Serafal and handed her a piece of crystal that he gave to Azazel and Mephisto. She looked at him questioningly, silently asking him what it was for. Since we're friends now, you can call me whenever you want. Just add in your magic to the mirror, okay? She nodded happily. Take care of your big sister, she could be troublesome sometimes. Naruto said as he looked down at Sinclair in Serafal's arms. The toddler merely laughed as Serafal sent him an indignant glare, but she was still smiling. Opening a magic circle, Naruto waved at them. Well, I'll see you later and don't cry too much. You're beautiful, but you're much more pretty when you're not crying. Thanks, you too. Serafal replied. Haha, wait, what? Naruto indignantly cried at her comment, but before he could complain, the magic activated, transporting him back to heaven. So this part ends here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, so quickly like this video for second part of this series. And comment down below your thoughts about this series. And now it's time for me to go, bye.